Hello again, rail fans. On this trip, we're going to see why it's important for both dispatchers and train crews to know how long their trains are. We'll listen in as a meet is set up between two really big trains, one of them which won't even fit in most of the sidings on the subdivision. It's going to be pretty interesting. So let's get out there and track down some trains. I like to start early in the morning and head out east to CSX's Yeoman Yard in Tampa, take I-4 east toward Plant City, and then into Lakeland. This morning, an empty grain train was sitting on the A-Line's number 1 main at Wabash Avenue. He was waiting on Q452, who was just giving a job briefing to the dispatcher.
452-15, go ahead, order. You got Cass Tovar on duty at 0630 Q452. 15, 2 motors, both on the head at 853, got 2,200 gallons, 3192. Should have about the same, I think it's about 1,800. Got a dispatcher bulletin, 29678. We're not a key train, no restrictions that we're aware of. We do have to stop at Wildwood, about 30 or so to pick up there. Right now, leaving Winston, 20 loads, 157 empties, 7,353 tons, 9,223 feet. PTC is up. Trip optimizer is, I got it up. I've called GE. I do have a tracking number. If it don't kick in, kind of have problems with it, but it should work. Over.
452 had to double his train at Winston Yard, possibly triple it out of the yard. That's the maneuver of pulling long cuts of cars out of yard tracks and making them into a long train. In any case, it puts the locomotive far out of the yard, leaving the conductor back there to do the work of connecting the cars. When it's ready to go, the conductor has to either walk up to the engine, which in this case could be well over a mile, or get a ride to the head end, which is what he did today. One of the things E. Hunter Harrison did when he arrived as chief of CSX was put an end to the rule that prohibited employees from getting on and off of moving trains. If Q452, dragging 7,300 tons of train, had to come to a complete stop on this hill at Winston, it would add time and trouble to the trip. So the engineer eases it down to walking speed, and the conductor steps aboard. By now, that grain train, K815, was on the move, and I would learn in just a few minutes that it was not a grain train at all. K815 is empty phosphate hoppers returning to the Bone Valley from Illinois. Thanks to railfan Josh Kentner for that correction.
Q452-15 with C60 locomotive 853 is immediate clear signal. Lakeland Junction headed north.
I knew 452 would make a left turn at South Lakeland onto the Vitus subdivision, so I beat it up north of there to Kathleen and the Stokes defect detector.
Q452-15 with C60 locomotive 853 is a clear signal on Kathleen headed north.
It wasn't long before the ditch lights of engine 853 appeared cresting the hill. Ditch lights, the two lower lights on a locomotive, are there for safety. They're on steady most of the time unless the horn is blown. Then they start an alternating flash pattern to let drivers or walkers know there's something very big and serious coming. The two engines were pulling 452 at better than 40 miles per hour now, and this is all uphill through here.
Liner 422.
Now the chase began for real, starting with 8 miles of twisting and turning down 2-lane roads to reach US 98. Then up to the S-line at Richland, where 452 was already passing. Now down onto the old Lakeland Highway, and of course behind someone hauling a trailer. Catching him at South End Dade City Siding. Owensboro with no lights or gates yet. Now we're ahead and hopefully leapfrogging him to Wildwood.
He's actually Q45215, which is XT locomotive 853 is a clear signal at Rich Manor, single man track number 2 headed north.
Through Bushnell and crossing the tracks to reach Coleman. Passing the entrances to the village's latest project, 14,000 new homes south of Coleman. Yay! I'm set up and waiting at Wildwood Yard when Q452 arrives. Here, he'll pick up around 30 cars bound for Waycross. 452 started at Winston with 9,200 feet of train. The cut he'll pick up here will make him over 11,000 feet. The cut for pickup is on the north end of the yard. While he was finishing his switching, I remembered I'd had no breakfast, so I swung across the street, just right across the street, and grabbed an early lunch at Oakwood Express Smokehouse. I'd never eaten here before, but this was a fantastic lunch plate. Sliced pork, fries, and beans. About $12 with the iced tea. Delicious. The tracks were right across the street, so it took less than a minute to get over there. 452 was just backing down onto his train.
Looking good there, 853, come on back, about 10 more to stop. One car, 8531. 15 feet, 10 feet, row 5, 3, over back 2, good, 853 stretch.
At this point, I figured he would be a while pumping air into the brake system of his now 11,000-foot train. So I hit the road, and no sooner had I left than a meeting plan took place on the radio.
Okay, if I'm looking at this right now, 20 loads, 188 empties, 8,400 tons, and 11,050 feet. Is that right?
That should be what we have over.
All right, well, that train set at Spar. Yeah, according to this, it's 11,784, but I'm a little leery about those figures sometimes.
I've hit the counter before. It's just about at 11.7, but that's signal to signal over.
453 is also non-clearing. It's either going to be Spar or Stark. Over.
So, a meet set for 2 really big trains at a siding that would only hold one of them. I'd been to Spar a few times, but it wasn't a favorite photo spot. Through Ocala on US 441, passing under the S-line and its 1950s built overpass, down 175th Street in Citra and out to the S-line and the south end of Spar siding. This passing siding is popular with dispatchers. It's long and there are no roads crossing it, so you can leave a train parked in there forever. There were ties stacked up everywhere along the S-line today. CSX crews had just finished a big replacement project in the winter. But if the northbound train, Q452, was going to fit in Spar, the test would be on the north end. So I would have to get up there. 11,708 feet to the north, and I could already hear 452 on the radio. So I found it, and that wasn't easy. A mile down a 2-rut road that finally cleared into an open space where the north end switch is. It wasn't too long before Q452 rounded the curve in the 25-mile-per-hour siding, creeping up to the north end signal, which, even though I couldn't see it, I knew was red. The rules strictly prohibit him from running past that signal, and his end of train was likely just a few hundred feet north of the south end switch. This was a tight fit.
153.16.
Yeah, sir, for some reason, south end of Spar went in time behind the Q452. I should have something for you there in 6 or 7 minutes, over.
6 or 7 minutes, all right. We'll drag our feet heading on down there.
All right, CSX dispatcher out.
The CTC system could see that 452 had cleared the south end, but safety backups apparently kicked in and started a time clock on the signal, and the dispatcher let the approaching southbound Q453 know.
Locomotive 3128 cleared north end, Spar southbound out.
Railfan Jordan Bell had posted a shot of this transformer through Folkestone a few hours earlier on the Florida Railfans Facebook group. I would find out later where that was going. Today, 453 was hauling a lot of rock. There's lots of building in Florida right now, much of it at the villages and in South Florida. The empty hoppers are for rock being mined in South Florida and coming north. This train must have been heavy enough to warrant a mid-train DPU. .453 finally passed, and 452 got his signal to depart Spar siding. So the meet worked. No one got held up. Everything happened as planned. Nice work, dispatcher. The chase to intercept 453 at Wildwood was not hard. Back out to US 301 and down to State Road 326, out to I-75. Then down to State Road 44 and then into Wildwood, about 30 minutes. I was ready when 453 showed up. He had orders to drop a big cut into Wildwood Yard, so that would eat up most of an hour. The JA dispatcher lined him into the yard on the easternmost track. Pulling all the way to the south switch, 453 then backed his cut into East 3, the track designated in orders. It would be the whole first part of the train, including that transformer. Those usually go to power plants, not sure where this one was headed.
You're still looking good, about 30 more. 30 more, 3120.
Riding to the bottom, the conductor counts down the car lengths to the end of the yard track. This track is about 2,900 feet, and it looks like the cut is gonna just about fill it up.
All right, keep pushing on him. I say about a good 20 more, and I'll get down. All right, 20 more. All right, 15, 1-5. All right, 15 more.
I knew there would be some time before 453 was ready to leave Wildwood, so I headed on south, but picked up something on the radio when I got to Lake Panasoffkee.
Intermediate bus code 80s, A782, 166432 north out.
A782, the Wildwood local, was working several customers to the south this Saturday. Now he was on his way back into the yard. Pretty good train today, too.
CSX detector, milepost 771.3, speed 48, no defects. Repeat, no defects. Total axles 108, length 1676. Detector out.
Limited intermediate Panasoffkee, A782, 16, locomotive 64, 32 north out.
From here, I followed US 301 south into Dade City. I swung into the Dade City ACL Depot, now a local museum. 2 local rail fans, Aspen and John, were already there and waiting. I didn't need any more shots of Q453, but the afternoon light was getting pretty good, so why not? I really didn't need to chase 453 any farther south, but you know that feeling where your reason loses out to your what the heck side? Pacing him on the old Lakeland Highway at the turn that was once the north end of Vitus Siding. Past Richland crossover, and then stuck south of Vitus Junction. I finally lit down at North End Plant City, just across the tracks from Bob Williford's railroad pole barn. He's restored another SCL caboose, found another semaphore signal complete with a doll arm. How cool is that? He's even laid track out there. Bob knows how to make use of a cow pasture. 2 yellows is an advance approach. Remember, when it's red, the bottom signal has no meaning. That tells the train crews to be ready to stop at the second signal ahead, which in this case is Sandler Junction in downtown Plant City. By now the sun had sunk to about tripod height, and it doesn't get much better than that. So here's one more pass of Q453-16. He's now knocked it down to about 10 miles an hour right here. And I'm betting it's because the head end has reached the Plant City connection. That's the track that connects the S line here around to the A line. That'll give him access to the Atlantic Coastline Main that'll get him into Winston Yard in Lakeland. That's what's happening here. So it wasn't a bad day out there at all. We made a really good chase of it, I thought. We got to see a real bona fide big train meet in the wilderness, so that's my kind of rail fanning day. Don't forget to hit that like button if you like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done that. Hit the little bell down there to be notified anytime we post a new video. And please share this with your friends on other social media. I'd really appreciate that. Now, we've got some great trips planned for the summer. I hope they all gel up. Can't tell you what they are yet, but until we get them all gelled up. But we're planning them, and we'll let you know as we go along. But thank you again for joining us. And until next time, when we meet up out there somewhere on the high iron, this is Danny Harmon, out.